So guys, our today's topic is VTP. So we are just going to discuss about what VTP is and what all things can be done with the help of this VTP. So VTP stands for Vlan Trunking Protocol, right? So basically, let me just give you one scenario. Let's say in a company we are having more than one switch, right? So in a company we can have one switch, we can have two switches, we can have five switches, we can have more than 20 switches, 50 switches and all. And you know that when we are working in a company, then we will have different department. So normally what we do in the IT networking, so if we have different departments, then we segregate all the departments into different sections, and in networking terms we call it as VLAN. So basically what we do in VLAN, we put some switch ports into one VLAN and the other ports into a different VLAN, so that one department cannot communicate with the other department. If I have to simplify this for you, is that like in a company, let's say we are having an accounts department and we are running a accounting server, right? So what we want is like the other department, let's say the sales department or the marketing department or the HR department, none of those departments should be able to communicate with our accounts department, right? So they should not be able to access our accounting data. They should not be able to communicate with the accounting system. So what we can do is, in those cases, we can put some of the ports which belongs to the account department into one particular VLAN, let's say VLAN 10, right? So if in a company we are having, let's say, 4 departments, so we will call it as VLAN 10, we can call it as VLAN 20, VLAN 30, VLAN 40 and so on. So let's say VLAN 10 is all about the accounts department. So if we will put the switch port into VLAN 10, so other VLAN will not be able to communicate with our account section, which is into VLAN 10. So basically what we do is like let's say if we have more than one switch in the company, so it would not be possible for anyone to create those VLANs in all the switches. So to overcome this issue, we have a concept of VTP, right? So with the help of this VTP, what we can do is we can create all our VLAN in the core switch, right? And all the connected switches, like all the connected switches all the connected switches will have the VLAN information automatically. It will be synced with the core switch, right? So if when we are talking about all those switches, so all those switches would be the access switches and one switch, main switch, would be the core switch. So we will be creating all those VLAN information in the core switch, and then core switch is going to sync those information to the access switches. So now we are just going to see how it is going to work, right? So let me just open my packet tracer and then I will show you how this scenario will work, right? So let me just open it, then I will show you how we are going to configure this VTP. So for this, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take 2 switches, right? I'm going to take 2 switches. This is my switch 1 and this is my switch 2, right? So I'm just going to connect this automatic cable in the switch ports. This is connected, right? Let me just fast forward this so that it will be in the running state. As you can see this, so this green symbol indicates that this is in the running state, right? Basically, when we connect one cable from one switch to the another switch, so there is a like backend process going on, right? So that is called STP, spanning tree protocol, right? So that works. Basically what it checks is it checks for any kind of loop, if because there should not be any loop between the switches, right? So now this is in the running state. Now what we are going to do, we are going to make this this particular port, we are going to make this port like which is connected from switch 1 to switch 2 into the trunk port, right? So let me open my switch, let me just go to the CLI, interface FA0/1, switch port, mode trunk, right? So I would like to tell you one more thing here is that like as you can see this, we have made this FA01 port as the trunk port. So the other side will automatically become the trunk port. So we need not to create the trunk port at the other end. So if I'll take you to the other switch and if I'll show you, then you will come to know, right? Enable, let me enable the device, configure terminal, right? Show interface trunk. So as you can see, this FA0/1 has become trunk automatically, and we are using the encapsulation method as 802.1q, right? Now what we have to do, this has become the trunk port, do show VTP status, right? So this is very, very important, right? So here what we have to see, we have to check few things like VTP operating mode is set to server and VTP domain name is blank, right? So to sync our VLAN information, we have to create the VTP domain. So the similar to this trunk port, if I will create this VTP domain name at one side, so that domain name will automatically sync to my other switch, right? So I'll just show you. If I'll take you to the other switch, then you are going to see the same information here also, to show VTP status. As you can see this here. So the VTP operating mode is set to server. So here important thing to be noted here is that by default every switch will be act as a server, right? So when we talk about the VTP operating mode, we are having three different modes. First one is the server mode. In the server mode, we can create the VLAN, we can delete the VLAN, we can modify the VLAN, we can do anything with the VLAN, because it is having the full access, right? So the other mode is the client mode. So in the client mode, we cannot delete the VLAN, right? So in the client mode, we will be getting the VLAN information from the server, right? But we cannot create the VLAN in the client mode. There is one more mode called the transparent mode. So basically in the case of this transparent mode, we can create the VLAN and those VLAN will reside within that area only. Like I mean to say, like in the case of transparent, it is not going to share the VLAN information connected to its ports, right? Let's say we are having three different switches. One is in the server mode, other one is in the client mode, and one is in the transparent mode. So transparent mode is not going to share the VLAN information to its connected devices, right? So what we are going to do, we are just going to create the VTP domain name. So to create the VTP domain name, VTP domain, let's say I'm just going to create one domain name called IT, right? So as you can see, this changing VTP domain name from null to IT. As I showed you in the beginning, by default it was set to null. Now it has been changed to IT. So if I run the same command, do show VTP status, so you can see this, it has been updated. VTP domain name is set to IT. If I go to the other switch and if I run the same query, then you will find the same name, because it has already synced those information with the help of this trunk port. Do show VTP status. So as you can see, this information has been synced to the other device and we are getting this name, right? Now what we are going to do, what we will be doing, we will be creating the VLANs on my first switch, and those VLAN information should be synced with my second switch. So let me just come here. I'm creating one VLAN called I'm just giving a VLAN number, and if I tell you something about like how many VLANs we can have. So when we talk about VLAN, VLAN stand for virtual local area network, right? So the total range of VLAN is 4012 to 4094, and VLANs are of two types. One is the standard VLAN, and which comes between 1 to 1005, and another one is extended VLAN, which comes in the range of 1006 to 4094, right? So I'm just going to give one name to my VLAN. Let's say VLAN 10 name, let's say accounts, and I'm going to create one more VLAN, VLAN 20 name sales, right? So if I show you, do show VLAN brief. So these two VLANs created here, right, on my first switch. If I take it to the another switch and if I run the same query, so as you can see this here, this VLAN information has been synced to my connected device, right? I hope you guys have understood the concept of this VTP, and if you have any kind of doubt related to VTP or any other topic, just do let me know. I will be creating a separate video on that. Thanks for now. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care and have a nice day.